Hey, what's up guys? Tyler here with Secureteam. Very interesting story here coming out of Sweden after a hydrographic survey, which is basically sonar. They used sonar to map the floor of a body of water called the Port of Gävle, which is an area of the ocean just north of Stockholm and right next to the industrial central Sweden region. And it's your typical ocean hub. And so right off the port recently, and I'm reading you from a crudely translated Swedish article, but on June 29th, during a routine survey of the ocean floor, a team of researchers and local workers discovered an unknown and anomalous, to say the least, object sitting at the bottom of the sea. They say that the object measured 12 meters long, 3 meters high, and was, quote, boat-shaped. Now, on its face, it could be pretty normal. Could be a sunken ship. And that would be pretty mundane if that was where the story ends. But it doesn't. It gets even more strange because just a few hours later, when they went back over the exact same area to take another sonar visual of this object, it was gone. And I mean gone. As in nowhere in sight. They actually sonared a huge chunk of area around where the object was, nowhere to be found. And so that's where things got strange and totally mystified. And so there's been 2 news articles about this, and I'm going to read them to you again, roughly translated by Google to English. And so you're seeing the article here. It states, "Here are the sonar images that show the object in Gävle. According to the report provided to the armed forces," which, by the way, this has been given to the police and handed over to the armed forces, "the object was 12 meters long and suddenly disappeared. It could be wrong with our equipment, a school of fish, or a submarine," said Fredrik Zandbaum, the CEO of Gävle Port. So basically what they're saying is they were doing a survey, they went to lunch after they discovered the object. After lunch, they went to recheck it, sent divers down, did sonar readings, and the object was gone. Now, the armed forces, who is now involved, are saying that they have received daily reports about this and cannot comment on this case in question. Now, the CEO of the port told the local news station that he sees 3 possible explanations for this. One being equipment failure, which has never happened to them before. Number 2, a school of fish, which obviously this object looks nothing like it. It looks rigid, looks like a structure of some sort. Or an underwater submarine, which again would be much too small for this object. Most submarines are around 150, 175 meters long. This object was no more than 12 meters long. So they stated that there was a clear concern about a possible submarine in the middle of the port, but it seems that they're sort of leaning away from that. So it's very, very strange, and there's actually a second article about this when it first occurred, which kind of goes on to a little bit more detail and talks about how they discovered in the middle of the fairway where they were doing these hydrographic surveys, a deviation. They say they got a shot at a shallower range to see what it could be, and after inspection they saw an object which they thought was very suspicious. It says that they have studied the pictures, and further went on to add that they have never experienced something like this, and they have no experience of how to deal with it. So the police have submitted the case to the armed forces, who are not commenting. They're staying quiet. So it's very, very strange. And as I'm looking at this image, I'm trying to find something in my mind that I could relate this to, and I just can't. It doesn't look like any sub I have. You can see that it's not just one uniform shape. It gets larger here at the back, and it looks to have some structures on the top of it. And, this is a genuine USO sighting. USO, of course, meaning unidentified submerged object. And we've seen these things happen many, many times before. There was a specific case, one of our most popular videos, in fact, has gotten millions of views that we did, I think it was a year or 2 back, where I had discovered on Google Earth an object that was gosh, 1 or 2 miles in diameter that we caught through sonar images moving and zigzagging across the ocean floor. And this was a giant circular spherical object that you could clearly see had moved from one spot on the ocean bottom and had traversed an area of, I think, maybe 40 or so miles. And well, I'll go ahead and play you a short clip from that here. And mind you, I had a way cheaper mic back in those days, so forgive me for that, but check this out and we'll talk more in just a minute. Into the sand. And in the middle of this long path, which again heads over to this area here, which holds some very anomalous items, we see this large circular object and an obvious path or trail created by this object. Look at this thing zigzagging. Look at this thing moving, and we can follow this thing down all the way down here, continues here, and goes into this blurred out area. How convenient. All right, so yeah, that was an extremely mysterious find. Still not gotten an explanation. People have tried, but the point is, this is an obvious object. You can see the trail in the sand that it's left, miles in diameter, completely unexplained. And, you know, this is only one of the massive list of UFO and USO sightings that have occurred in and around the oceans. These things have been seen, and you know what most people don't understand is that there have almost been more UFO sightings over the ocean and in the ocean than there have been on solid land. And you know, I always talk about how we have an alien planet right here on Earth. Forget space. We have the ocean, only 10% of which has ever been explored by mankind. All right, so we have no idea what's down there. And we've discovered these things before. You know, many of you may have heard about the Baltic Sea anomaly, where in 2012, a team of, again, Swedish treasure seekers made this enigmatic discovery of a mysterious structure below the surface, captured again on sonar, that appeared to be this sort of circular, almost like the Millennium Falcon type craft. They also discovered that this thing, besides these very strange geometric manufactured looking features, it also had what appeared to be a staircase leading down into an opening. And that still has not been explained. Some scientists have said, well, it's just a rock formation, but this thing looks like a ship, without a doubt. And besides these sort of strange things found at the bottom of oceans, we've had a list of UFO sightings occurring, with craft seen blasting up out of the water, and vice versa. You know, there was one specific USO sighting that I don't think I've mentioned here before, but it's seldomly spoken about, and it occurred in 1992, on June 14th, I believe. And it happened in the Santa Catalina Channel, which is a body of water that separates mainland California from the island of Catalina. The depth of the water goes about as deep as Mount Everest is high, and many UFOs have been seen both entering the water and emerging from its depth. So on June 14th, 1992, it was reported that there were hundreds of USOs observed rising up from the water and flying towards space at an incredible rate of speed. And this was corroborated by multiple different independent witnesses who claimed that there was in excess of 200 of what they called strange glowing spheres that began to emerge from the water, hovering momentarily before accelerating off into the sky at blistering speeds, all in which were in complete silence, I might add. And again, there were many witnesses, many of whom filed reports with their respective local police forces, some of which were as far away as Malibu. Now, these reports quickly filtered through to the U.S. Coast Guard, who subsequently refused all requests to search the area of the sightings. So, you know, these reports go on, and here we have a very mystifying new report just occurred, and yeah, like usual, and just like here in America, the military is eerily quiet, not saying a word, and that's probably the way it's going to be. So, with that, you guys tell me what you think this looks like. Maybe we'll get some more information, and if we do, I will post on it, so do stay tuned. So thank you guys again for stopping by today, and I'll see you all back in just a bit. Stay safe, guys.